Hey everybody, today on Northern Revolutions, we're going to talk about the Beatles' Yellow Submarine and what the heck the difference is between these two records. And there's a big difference. So stay tuned. Hey vinyl community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Today we're going to talk about the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. And specifically, what the heck is the difference between both of these albums? So, before I get into that, if you do me a favor, hit that like button. If you have subscribed already, thank you very much. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. I post very interesting record collecting videos a couple times a week. So please hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, don't forget that bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded something new. So, regular viewers on my channel know that I'm a big Beatles fan. And I do a Beatles video every couple weeks. And today I wanted to talk about Yellow Submarine, because it's an album that I was listening to a week or so ago, this version, and it got me thinking how dramatically different it is from this version. And for people that are maybe new Beatles fans or new record collectors, they may not necessarily be aware that there is a difference. So I thought I'd talk about that today. So I'm actually going to talk about 3 different versions of the Yellow Submarine album today. So first of all, an original 1969 pressing. The 1999 Yellow Submarine song track, and then the 2014 stereo remaster. And they're all different. So let's start with the beginning. The 1969 original pressing of the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. This is generally regarded, I think, as probably the Beatles' weakest album. It's not really an album. First of all, it's a soundtrack to the cartoon film Yellow Submarine. I think this was released as almost a contractual obligation. The Beatles did have a contract where they were to provide songs for this animated feature film, and it's not something I think that they were overly enthusiastic about. I mean, they didn't even contribute their own voices to the film, so I think to them it was just an afterthought. So this album, think of it as 2 sides. So on the first side, there are 6 Beatles songs. Yellow Submarine, Only a Northern Song, All Together Now, Hey Bulldog, It's All Too Much, and All You Need Is Love. The second side are orchestral arrangements that George Martin had done as part of the score for the film. So it's a Beatles album, but it's not. Of the 6 songs that the Beatles contributed to the Yellow Submarine soundtrack, the title track was released in 1966 on Revolver, and All You Need Is Love was released as a single in the summer of 1967. So of the 6 songs, you got 4 new ones. Fans were, I think, understandably, I don't know if upset is the right word, but let's say not amused back in 1969 when this came out, that they bought a Beatles record and they get 4 songs that they hadn't heard before. I think generally, and this could be my opinion, but I think generally most people don't listen to the orchestral side. I think I may have listened to it once in 20 years. It's not that it's bad, it's just not my thing. The songs that the Beatles contributed I think were largely throwaways. It's just stuff that they had lying around. With that said, Hey Bulldog is awesome. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs, but it's not a project that they really considered doing anything with. Up to this point, there'd been a long history, I think, of the North American releases being different than the UK releases. That's sort of the case here as well. The audio content's the same, the front cover's the same, but what is different is the back cover. So this is a Canadian pressing, which is identical to the American pressing. This part here, the top is the same on the North American and the UK. But down here you have a sort of, I'll call it a fictionalized backstory for the Yellow Submarine movie. On the UK release, similar artwork at the back, but on the bottom you have a review of the White Album by Tony Palmer from the London Observer, and then sort of a preamble above that, or an introduction by Derek Taylor, who was the Beatles press officer. This is the remastered edition. I don't have an original UK one, but this back is what the UK version looked like. So the backs on the UK and North American ones are different, but the songs are the same. Either way, I think it's generally regarded as kind of a letdown, given the high caliber of the rest of the Beatles catalog. Yellow Submarine tends to not be one that a lot of people put at the top of their list. While there are a couple good songs in there, the problem is that there are only a couple. When the Beatles did face some, I guess I'll call it backlash for the value or lack thereof that the Yellow Submarine album afforded folks, they tossed around the idea of putting out an EP with the 4 original songs that had been previously unreleased, so not Yellow Submarine and not All You Need Is Love, but the other 4 songs, plus the yet to be released Across the Universe. They had considered putting that out as an EP, but ultimately, for one reason or another, the plans for that were scrapped. Interestingly, they did do a mono mix of that EP, but it was never released. Not really. You can actually find it on the Beatles Mono Masters. This is the 3 LP set that came out at the same time as the mono box set. And on here are the 4 songs from Yellow Submarine in their mono mix, as well as Across the Universe. So that EP was sort of released on Mono Masters. So fast forward to 1999, the anthology project has concluded to rave reviews, and Apple's considering looking at, what other Beatles material could we possibly release. And the idea was put forth to release a true soundtrack to the Yellow Submarine film. And this is where we get the Yellow Submarine song track. Completely different than the album. Remember, the album, 6 Beatles songs and a bunch of George Martin orchestral arrangements. What this album is this is 15 of the 16 Beatles songs that appeared in the film. The only one that's not there is A Day in the Life, and apparently either Apple or EMI excluded that because this album would have been a little too heavy in the Sgt. Pepper content, or at least that's what I've read. So you get a true soundtrack of all of the actual Beatles songs that are in the Yellow Submarine film. The other reason that this is a significant album is this was remixed by Peter Cobbin, who was a recording engineer at Abbey Road Studios. George Martin had retired, and Peter Cobbin was tasked with remixing and remastering the tracks for this album. It's important because this is the first time anyone but George Martin had been given, I'll go had been given the responsibility or the entrusted with the task of remixing Beatles songs. So Peter went back to the original master tapes and remixed, which had never been done before, hadn't even been done for the first issue of the CDs back in the 80s. So this was the first true remix slash remaster of Beatles material. And listen, I'm not an audiophile, but this is generally regarded as one of the best sounding Beatles records. So for anyone that likes the Yellow Submarine movie, here you go. When this was released on vinyl, it was released on black vinyl, and you can also get it in I think it's a fairly limited edition yellow vinyl. I think these were only made in the UK. This has since been repressed in 2005 on black vinyl as well. And that brings us to the 2012 stereo remaster. This is obviously identical to the 1969 version of the album. It has the UK back on it. This originates from the 2009 CD stereo remaster that was done by Alan Rouse and Guy Massey, again Abbey Road engineers. The vinyl version of those remasters were released in 2012 on stereo. Generally, I think nowadays these are regarded as not great mixes. The audio quality, a lot of folks complain about. Again, I'm not an audiophile, so I'm not going to comment on it. Generally, people think the mono masters are vastly superior. This album was never available in mono. So if you want a modern remaster of this album, the only choice you have is the 2012 remaster. It sounds okay, but a lot of people complain that this is a digital to vinyl transfer as opposed to an analog transfer like the mono masters was. Does this sound any better than the original 1969 album? I don't think so, but again, I'm not an audiophile. So there you have it, folks. There's sort of the three main, there's been many, represses of the album between 1969 and the modern day, but your main versions are your original 1969 version, the 1999 song track remix remaster, and then the 2012 stereo remaster. Which one should you get? Depends. Do you want the album as it was originally released? Or do you want one that is an actual album of the songs, the Beatles songs that appear in the movie without all the orchestral stuff? Obviously, I have both. My preference is the 1999 song track. I like that it's the songs that appear in the movie. I don't really care for the orchestral stuff. No disrespect intended to George Martin. The Beatles wouldn't be the Beatles without him as a producer, but doesn't mean I want to listen to his orchestral stuff. So I like this because I want to listen to a Beatles album. This is a Beatles album. The other one is a soundtrack to a cartoon that has some Beatles songs on it. This is what I would go with. Sounds better. It also looks way cooler. It's much better packaging. It's just an all-around better album. But that's just what I think. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Yellow Submarine. Let me know in the comments. That's all I have for you today, everybody. Thanks for watching. Please check me out on Instagram, Northern_Revolutions. We'll see you again real soon. Catch you on the flip side.